Welcome to the program. As I mentioned just before the break that this is a live and interactive program. You're welcome, you're invited to make telephone calls, to ask any question from Alan Hart or myself, or pass any comment on the program. So the telephone lines would be open in about 5 minutes from now. So the telephone number would be appearing on the screen. Use that telephone number. It's a landline essentially. So you can make a telephone call and ask anything what you want or share. So phone lines are open straight away now. My producer has corrected me. The phone lines are open. Now, before the break, I had one question and I thought I would ask you at appropriate time after the break. The Saudis are currently spending $57 billion per annum on the procurement arms and on the defense, other activities, military posture, military deployment, training, equipment. Now, interestingly, there are 57 members of the OIC, the 57 Muslim countries in the world. 49 of them are poor. So if instead of wasting that much of money on arms and weapons, when there is no other enemy, even Tel Aviv is a friend of Riyadh today. So instead of wasting money over there, so we have a call before I finish my question. There is a call. Yeah, please. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program. Your name and your question, please.
Yes, my name is Hussein. I'm calling from Birmingham, and it's a very good topic that you have.
Say your name. Say your name again, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Hussein, calling from Birmingham.
Sibtan. Hussein. Okay, yes, brother.
Yes, I was born in Saudi Arabia myself many years ago, and I saw the hypocrisy firsthand. Being a Pakistani, son of an expatriate father who used to work for the Ministry of Health, I saw for myself that the Saudis treat the Pakistanis as third-class citizens. And obviously this is exactly what's going on. And unfortunately, what Saudis are doing to the Yemeni people and its general public is the same what we see the Zionists doing to the Palestinians. Where is the humanity? It's completely double standard. It's just the United Nations is not obviously at the moment taking any action against Saudi Arabia. It's because they're oil rich.
Thank you very much for your question, Brother Hussein. It's a wonderful question, Alan. Now, the way the Israelis are treating and undermining, condescending the Palestinians, exactly using the same template, the Saudis are demeaning and despising the Pakistanis, nearly 2 million Pakistanis working there. So how can you explain that?
Yes, but it's not quite the same. There's a large part of me that identifies with what the caller has said, but it's not quite the same, because what the Israelis are doing is, it's not only ongoing colonization, it's slow ethnic cleansing by stealth. Mm-hmm. So, that's of a higher, more disgusting order. Mm-hmm. But I would answer, you asked a question before that caller about the money that is being spent. I would answer it with the Vietnam analogy. Now, I covered that war as a young reporter, and I watched America spending $6 million a minute destroying two countries in a war it could not win and should not have fought. Now, if the Americans had spent a fraction of that on creating...
Sorry, Alan, before you finish your sentence, we have got another caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Could you mention your name, please, brother?
Mr. Sajjad.
Sajjad. Yes, please. What's your comment or question?
My question is, Mr.
From which city, please?
Sorry?
Which city? Where are you calling from?
Oh, Milton Keynes.
Milton Keynes. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Mr. Sajjad.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Okay. My question is... Hello?
Yes, please go ahead. You're on...
Okay. My question is, Mr. Alan Hart.
Can you reduce the volume of your television set?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. My question is, I want to ask Mr. Alan Hart.
Please ask the question. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, you're on air. Please ask the question.
As my question is, can Mr. Alan Hart tell me when the Saudi regime is going to be end? Because they are the problem of all Middle East problem.
Thank you very much, brother. Yes, Alan, another
Well,
question.
I'd agree they're a very large part of the problem. I think the biggest single part of the problem, frankly, is the Zionist state of Israel. And as we said earlier in the programme, I think there is now an unholy trio of Israel, Saudi Arabia and Egypt. Okay, he seems to have taken my point that the Saudi rulers and princes, they are sitting on a ticking time bomb. I would say, my guess would be regime change and a move to a more open system in possibly 8, 9, 10 years.
That's my time scale as well.
I think it's as far away as that.
Well done, well done. So we were discussing, get back to $57 billion per year on the defense budget, staggering amount. 57 poor Islamic states, 48 of them are very poor, $1 billion each per year. Within 5 years' time, all the debts are cleared on the 48 poor nations. And another 5 years, so 10 years from now, all these poor Muslim countries will become self-reliant, reasonably well-resourced, self-resourced. So what do you think if, instead of wasting that much amount, if say 50% of that is spent on the poor Muslim states, isn't that the more appropriate way of spending money?
Yes, but it tells you how much the very wealthy Gulf Arabs in particular care about their fellow Muslims all over the world. I mean, I nearly vomited some months ago. Forbes published its list of the richest, and it named one Saudi prince as the 24th richest man in the world. And he got very angry and he protested. He said, "I'm not the 24th, I'm the 17th. But you know, there's a question that always fascinates me, and it's about this pursuit of money by all people everywhere, but Gulf Arabs in particular. How many palaces can you live in? How many women can you screw? How many yachts can you own? I mean, what the hell is this all about? Mm-hmm. Is there something congenitally wrong in some of their minds? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just don't understand it.
Mm-hmm. Now, with the same tone, what we saw about 5 years ago, in the Landmark Hotel, one Saudi gay prince, he killed his own partner. And the case was, he was prosecuted. After 3 years' time, he was sentenced to long imprisonment, like 20 years, 25 years. And now he's back in Saudi Arabia. He's behaving like a free man, and he's absolutely free. So is that international justice, or is there any special sort of extradition treaty between Saudi Arabia and Britain to send the killers from these prisons to the other countries?
Well, as you know, we've refrained over the years from really raising any bother with Saudi Arabia because of the supply of oil at a price we wanted to pay. Mm-hmm. But I think that may be changing. I mean, I think the Americans are getting pretty fed up with Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. I really, truly think they are. But there's a question I must ask you. I am aware that this week many Muslims, and not just Shia, are celebrating the birth of Imam Ali. I'm also aware that he is revered as the door to knowledge. Mm-hmm. Now, could that explain why the Wahhabis hate Shia? And is there a Imam Ali equivalent, the door to truth, anywhere on the Sunni side?
Well, first of all, I'm really glad that you are very well informed about Imam Ali alayhi salam, Imam al-Muttaqeen, and Babul Ilm, as we call, the door to knowledge. The Prophet said, Ana Madinatul Ilmi wa Aliyun Babuha. I am the city of knowledge, and Ali is the door to whosoever wants to seek knowledge has to come through the door. So I'm really impressed that you are very informed in that. But the thing is, to be honest, I'm not a qualified religious leader. I'm just a student. I follow the people who say, and who much more qualified people that are ulama, are scholars, they say. But I can, as a student, I can comment on that. The thing is that Imam Ali is really the beacon of knowledge. He is knowledge, epitome of knowledge. And Imam Ali is the defender of the faith of Islam also. And at some point, even Hazrat Umar, the second political caliph of Islam, of Muslims, if not Islam, of Muslims, he was in a situation where there was a catch-22 sort of situation before him. He had to make a decree while running a court. and he was about to make a wrong decree and was about to punish a person who wasn't guilty. And before giving that decree, he approached Imam Ali. And Imam Ali said, no, you change your verdict, and this is the reality. So he changed his verdict, and he gave a new verdict. And after giving that new verdict, his advisors and a voice from within himself that came to him and said that now you have made a right decision after consulting Imam Ali. Imam Ali wasn't the caliph at that time. And here, when he went to Imam Ali again, Hazrat Umar, he said that, Imam Ali, if you were not there today, I would have been killed like an animal. He uses the word halakat. Halakat is dying like an animal. And this is how Hazrat Umar, a great companion of the Prophet, he admits Imam Ali's justice, fair play, and the knowledge. So all the Sunni brothers, they are in consonance with the Shia ideology about Imam Ali.
But the Wahhabis loathe.
We have a problem.
Shia.
We have the problem with the Wahhabis, and Wahhabis we are discussing. And that is one of the major reasons. And we being followers of Imam Ali alayhi salam, we are hated by the Wahhabis and Salafis. And if that is the base of that, I tell you, we are very well resourced and endowed that if the Wahhabis hate us because of Imam Ali, we love to be hated.
Let me come back to the question you didn't answer that I asked you. I said one of the things that the Middle East needs is a rapprochement between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Sorry, Alan, we have got another caller. Yeah, please, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Your name and where are you calling from, please?
I'm Humaira calling from London.
Humaira from London. Thanks for your call, Humaira.
Can I make a question?
Yes, please go ahead. You're live.
Okay. Short while ago, I heard that Alan said that if we want to have peace in the region, Iran and Saudi Arabia should shake hands, and this should be the recipe for peace in Middle East. And now he has asked that Imam Ali is the door to knowledge, and why Wahhabis don't recognize this. So I think Alan has questioned himself for a peace, and he has given the answer. So is there any formula that Iran and Saudi Arabia can recognize Mullah Ali and have peace with Iran, because that is the main issue?
Thank you very much. We've got your question, Humaira, and I put the question to Alan. Yes, please.
Well, and I also put it to you, and we didn't get time to answer it. Pure pragmatism. I mean, my understanding is that the Iranians would like there to be some kind of pragmatic rapprochement. Foreign Minister Javid, I believe, is on the record as saying that he would welcome the opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia and sit down and talk it out. Now, if the Saudis had any nose or smell for their own survival long term, I think that's what they would do. But I don't think they have that smell for their own survival. I think at the moment they are behaving stupidly and in a counterproductive way. So I don't really see any chance of this sort of gentle rapprochement.
So where do you, and how you reflect upon the recent massive cabinet reshuffle in the last week? Would that be a step towards moving towards Iran or moving further away from Iran?
I fear it means moving further away, because as I said, I'm sure the motivation is we can't rely on America so much anymore, and possibly the coming months, years at all, so we must demonstrate that we can take care of ourselves. So I think it's probably negative.
One thing I'm quite apprehensive about, one of the major cabinet members is the former ambassador to the United States, Adil bin Jubair.
Yeah.
A schoolboy, he claims to be highly educated, a degree from United States, a degree from US, and a degree from UK, and friends with all leading. So he is using exactly the template which Bandar bin Sultan during his 22 years of long stint as ambassador to Washington.
But he was virtually a Zionist stooge.
I can agree with that. So Adil, when he is being in charge, the Mandarin of the foreign policy, what goods you expect from him?
Well, I expect him to try to salvage what is left of the relationship with America, or not salvage it, but to stop it going completely bad. I imagine that's what his role is.
Mm-hmm. So you mean the continuity of the same policy, same foreign policy?
No, look, I'm sure we're going to get a deal with the P5+1 on Iran. I think there is no doubt about that. And at that point, the Saudis will fear that their relationship with America might deteriorate further. Mm-hmm. So I think Jabir's role is to try to make sure it doesn't deteriorate totally.
Okay, so he's there to do the damage control.
I think so.
Okay, so another question. I mean, the last couple of years in the Middle East were dominated by the Syrian question. So Syrian question was like gout, sometimes taking them from the head, sometimes from stomach, sometimes from the ankles, and now it has entered into their heart and soul. So what is the role which Saudis, they wanted to play in Syria and they later on they failed to do? So are they replicating that sort of role in Yemen?
Look, what the Saudis are basically doing, and it may not be government funding, it's private funding, effectively they are funding violent Islamic fundamentalism, whatever you call it, almost everywhere in the world. But I tell you what makes me very angry about the slaughter and the destruction that's going on in Syria in particular. Our leaders are sitting down and letting it happen. Now, I think within weeks of it starting 4 years ago, I think there could have been a solution if Obama had had a quiet private conversation with President Putin of Russia and said, it's not in either of our interests that this escalates beyond control. We have got to create a situation which ultimately leads to Assad standing down. What is your price for cooperating with me on doing this? Now, I think if Obama had taken that approach, I think there could have been a deal and we could have had Putin and Obama together saying, you know, we must have open, honest, free, fair elections and blah, blah, blah. So I think myself that Obama blew it. And I think it's just disgusting beyond polite words one could use on television that so-called world leaders are letting this happen.
Okay, now I come to Egypt as Fatah Sisi. As Fatah Sisi has been put into power by the powers, and he can act as an agent provocateur in the region. In the meantime, we have enfant terrible as Benjamin Netanyahu, who is without a cabinet. Maybe next week he gets one.
Minus Lieberman. You know Lieberman's quit. Yeah.
So Sisi at the mouth of at the head of the Red Sea, and Yemen at the mouth of the Red Sea. And then we have Israel. And then we have Jordan. So all these states, the classical partners of Saudi Arabia. And do you know that sort of marriage of convenience will carry on for, say, 5 to 10 years?
Well, I think Sisi will emerge and is emerging as the worst dictator that Egypt's ever had. But I think he will basically continue to do what the Saudis and the Israelis tell him.
Now, my next question would be, what do you think the future of Turkey?
I'm very disappointed. Years ago, I had hoped that Erdogan was going to emerge as a new real leader. And I could see an alliance with Turkey, Iran, Pakistan, maybe China. And I thought that might be a whole new balance in the region. But it seems to me now that power has gone to Erdogan's head, and I don't think he's a serious, respectable leader anymore.
Well, the ideal scenario, I really concur with you, ideal scenario could be Russia, China, Pakistan, Turkey, and Iran, these 5 states in the region, very responsible states. Very responsible military states, Pakistan being the nuclear.
Yes, but Pakistan, let's be fair, Pakistan is in such a mess. In my view, Pakistan needs a military coup to hold the ground for a year to 18 months to organise really, truly honest elections. I mean, come on, it is so corrupt.
Who is going to defend us if that military coup it takes place in Pakistan? how the Commonwealth, the UN, the Western, the pro-democracy so-called people, how they will react to that if
No,
that happens.
Here I'm talking pie in the sky. You need a military coup led by generals who are totally committed to getting real democracy on the road. But that would take a year or so to set up. And I don't know if the generals have the will to do it.
And that's a very ambitious wish list.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we will like to end the program. So you listen to Alan Hart with the 50 years of solid experience as an author and as a journalist doing Panorama program for many, many years. And we discussed Saudi Arabia in details, and we also discussed the neighboring countries who are playing dirty role in Yemen, like Egypt and like Jordan and the other UAE countries, who are the coalition partners in the air raids on the innocent civilians. And more than 1,100, 1,200 they have been killed. Out of them, about 80%, 90% of them, they are the innocent civilians killed by the air attacks by the coalition forces. Now, with that, we end our program, and next week we will come with another program with Alan Hart. So just wait for that. Thank you very much for being with us. Thanks. Bye-bye.